In this video we're going to learn about cube roots and reciprocals. We can think of cube rooting a number as the opposite of cubing it. For example, if I was asked to work out the cube root, so we write cube root with a little 3 and a tick symbol, similar to the square root. If I were asked to work out the cube root of 8, I would write down the number which I need to cube to get 8. And from last time, we should know that that number is 2. So the cube root of 8 is 2 because 2 cubed is 8. Similarly, if I were asked what is the cube root of 64, what is the cube root of 64, I would write down 4 because 4 cubed is 64. On a calculator, we can work out the cube root as follows. So on a Casio calculator, you would press Shift and then the square root button, and that's going to make cube root appear. You can then type in whatever number you want to cube root. So if I wanted to cube root 25, you would write cube root 25, press equals, and you end up with this number here. As you can see, this is not a whole number because 25 is not a perfect cube. To work out the reciprocal of a number, we essentially divide that number by 1. For example, if I wanted to work out the reciprocal of 2, I would simply write down 1 over 2. The reciprocal of 3 would be 1 over 3. The reciprocal of a fraction, reciprocal of, for example, let's say the reciprocal of 2/3, to work out the reciprocal of 2/3, we would do 1 over 2/3, which is the same as 1 divided by 2/3, which is the same as 1 over 1 divided by 2/3. And remember, when we divide a fraction by a fraction, we keep the first fraction the same, change the divide into a times, and then flip the second fraction. So you would get 1 over 1 times 3 over 2, which is just 3 over 2. So the rule is, if you want to work out the reciprocal of a fraction, for example 2/3, you simply swap the numerator and the denominator. So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. If I wanted to work out the reciprocal of 3/4, you could probably guess what that's going to be. The reciprocal of 3/4 is simply 4/3. So, as I just said, to work out the reciprocal of a fraction, you simply swap the numerator and denominator. So let's have a look at some examples here. So fraction and reciprocal. So if I want to work out the reciprocal of, let's say, 5/4, that is going to be 4/5. If I wanted to work out the reciprocal of, say, 2 1/4, I need to change 2 1/4 into a top-heavy fraction first. So remember, to do this, I'm going to do 2 multiplied by 4, which is 8, and then add 1, which is 9, and write all of that over 4. Effectively, you're saying there are 8 quarters in 2, there are 8 quarters and 2 wholes, plus the extra quarter is 9 quarters. To work out the reciprocal of this, I just swap numerator and denominator to get 4/9. Finally, the reciprocal of decimals. One way you could do this is simply to change the decimal into a fraction and then do what we've just done, but you might prefer to do it this way. So if I wanted to work out the reciprocal of 1/2, so reciprocal of as a decimal 0.5, we simply write 1 over 0.5. Now, we can't really have a decimal in a fraction, so we need to make the bottom into a whole number, or the denominator into a whole number. To do this, you would need to multiply 0.5 by 10, and if you multiply the denominator by 10, in order to keep the fraction the same, you have to multiply the numerator by 10, which will give you 10 over 5, which is just 10 divided by 5, because a fraction just represents division, which is 2. So the reciprocal of 0.5 is 2. And you should notice this, because 0.5 is a half, and if I work out the reciprocal of a half, from what we've just done, that's going to be 2 over 1, which is 2. If I wanted to work out the reciprocal of, let's say, 0.02, you would write 1 over 0.02. To make 0.02 into a whole number, you could times by 100. So you would have to times top and bottom by 100, which would give you 100 over, if I times 0.02 by 100, I get 2. We'd have 100 over 2, which is 50. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video now to have a go at them, and when you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers.